Hello and welcome to Home Cinema Heroes. Thank you very much for joining this community. This is of course the first video in the introductory course covering the basics of what is a home cinema. Now, whether you're a seasoned pro and you've been installing AV systems and home cinemas for years, or whether you're completely new to the concept, I'm sure there is something here for everyone. And if there isn't, feel free to add it in the community. The discussions are open to all members. So let's get started. What is a home cinema? First of all, let's look at what is not a home cinema, because a lot of people will cobble together some equipment and call it a home cinema system, which oftentimes just leads to disappointment. So first of all, a TV with or without a standalone soundbar. Obviously, a TV by itself cannot be classified as a home cinema system in any way, shape or form. It is just a television. You have basically just bought a device, plugged it in and powered it on. Even a TV with a soundbar, whether that's a soundbar with or without a subwoofer, again, same kind of rule applies. You've just bought two devices and plugged them in together. Yeah, it might sound great, it might be a massive TV, but it's really not a home cinema system. That is just an addition to your existing TV. Secondly, a mobile projector on a bedsheet hanging from a wall, or even just a mobile projector on a wall. This also does not count as a home cinema system. Any standalone projector with or without a screen is not a home cinema. What I mean by this is I have actually seen situations where people install like a commercial type projector in a what they call a cinema room, and then rely on the built-in mono or stereo speakers of the projector itself for their audio. No matter which way you cut it, that's not going to produce any sort of an immersive effect. So again, that's not a cinema. That's a good starting point though, I must add. And then any room where at least 50% of it is not dedicated to just watching a movie or a film, whatever. You know, if it's something like a multi-use space, like a games room for instance, where you might have like a 7-channel surround system in there, but if dead in front of the TV you've got a foosball table or something, you've got a games room with a decent TV and audio system. That's not a home cinema. So what are the basic requirements for building your own home cinema system? Well, first of all, you need a big screen. That is of course relative to the room. It's no good throwing a 120-inch screen into a room that's only got a length of maybe 3 or 4 meters, because you'll be sat through the entire film having to move your head from side to side to catch the action from edge to edge on the screen. Similarly, if you've got a room that's say 6 or 7 meters long, there's no point having a 40 or 50-inch TV down the other end, because anyone who's even so slightly hard of sight, they're going to be squinting watching that film. So you need to have a screen that's appropriate for the size of the room and the size of your audience as well, like where everyone's going to be sitting. Then of course you need high picture quality. By this I mean you need to have something that can play at least decent HD video, or now we're moving into the realm of Ultra HD with 4K and 8K video. It's no good skimping on a projector, say, that only produces 720p video on a 100-inch screen, because the actual picture quality is going to be terrible. And whilst technologies like HDR, high dynamic range, is optional, they do make for a nice addition to most home cinema systems. So whether it's a projector or a television, it can be both. You just need something that can at least produce a high quality image, in video format of course. Then the second part, next you need immersive sound with range. What I mean by this is you need speakers or a speaker system that's capable of picking up everything from the low end of the scale, which are all your subwoofer frequencies, all the way up to say 20 kilohertz, basically beyond what most people can hear. It's no good just having 2, 3 or 4 small speakers that happen to be able to handle high power and can go really loud, because they're not going to be able to cope with the range of hitting bass frequencies, as well as, well, they might hit the high frequencies easily enough, but you're certainly not going to be feeling a rumble in your seat when an explosion occurs on screen, for instance. So you definitely need a system that's capable of hitting the rumble in an explosion all the way up to ear-piercing sounds of birds singing, for instance. Then of course it's always ideal to have controllable acoustics and lighting. So this is where it starts getting a bit advanced, when we start digging into acoustic treatments and lighting control and all that kind of stuff. But at the very least, the room should be able to be made dark enough to enjoy the film, so that the focus is on the screen, whether it's a projector or television, whether that means having blackout blinds or curtains, and having lights that you can either dim or control in a way so that there's no lighting directly near where the screen is. And for the acoustics, it's important to not have, for instance, a solid box room with hard surfaces everywhere where echoes just go on for days. You want the sound to be absorbed into the room so that it produces what's called a dead sound. And then of course there's comfort. You have to be comfortable sitting down, so seating, these can be beanbags, absolutely fine, or you can just have some sort of a massive mattress for everyone to just chill out on. That part is easy enough, as long as if people want to sit on the floor, that's fine, but they need to be comfortable. But it's not just where you're sitting that comfort comes into play. Air control, or air quality control, should I say, plays a big part in creating a comfortable environment. Now, these may be something of a luxury to some, and you might think it's unnecessary, but it's worth considering having some sort of a heating system if there's not already, say, a radiator or underfloor heating already in the room. Air conditioning is always a nice touch if you have a room that is prone to getting hot. And air extraction, for instance, especially if a room is, say, built in a basement where there is possibility of, say, damp, or you've got, say, a storeroom the other side and there needs to be air movement. You want the air to be extracted out of there so that at least whilst you're in there, you're not just constantly breathing in stale air. There is fresh air being pulled into the room, because not only is that more pleasant, it will also keep you awake for the entirety of the film. And then the final point here is automation, which is optional. That just means you want to be able to easily control and turn everything on. So top of the range here is essentially having a sensor in the room that picks up when someone enters, turns on the projector, drops the screen down, for instance, turns on the amp, readies one of the sources, and sets a remote to the relevant control settings so that you can just press play and there you go. And then there's everything in between that and having a set of 5 or 6 remotes or whatever it is to control all the individual devices. Although having multiple remotes is obviously not ideal. That's why automation comes into it. So those are the basics of what not to do and what's required to get started, at least. And I think it would be very interesting to hear your ideas and concepts or plans that you may have, whether you are building your own home cinema system or if you are a professional installer and you're designing or building one for someone else. Yeah, join the community, leave a comment, help out, and ask questions. So again, thank you for joining, and we'll catch up soon.